Eccoci, buongiorno a tutti. Diamo il via a questa sessione che ho il piacere di coordinare assieme a Nadio Delai, che è il presidente di Ermeneia Studi e
Good morning, everybody. Let's
Sistema
start this session.
Italia,
I'm co-chairing
titolo è
with
quello che riguarda tutte le politiche per il
Dario Delai. The title is
biotech,
about policy for biotech, digital
biotech,
high-tech, and energy high-tech innovation. So
innovazione e
all
anche
politics linked
il tema
to innovation
dell'energia.
and energy
Abbiamo
as well.
vari ospiti, alcuni sono
We
collegati
have many guests,
online, altri sono
some of
qui,
which
come spesso
are
succederanno,
connected
per
online and
affrontare tutti
others
gli aspetti che
sitting in the
in
audience.
qualche modo anche come amministrazione regionale,
And
come
we will
politica
touch upon all the
pubblica
aspects that
affrontiamo
we
tutti
as public administration and politics
in tutti
are
gli incontri sul tema e
tackling on
poi
various
ovviamente
levels.
lascerò la parola al mio
So the floor now goes to my
co-direttore.
co-chair, of the afternoon
Come voi
session.
sapete, su tutti questi
As
temi
you know,
succede
on
che è
all these
importante
themes, it is
avere
important
delle
that
linee guida e
politics
delle linee
has
d'azione al
guidelines,
territorio. Io
has
sono
directives
altrettanto
in its
convinta che ci
on
siano
its
ancora
territory. I
alcuni
am
che
convinced
siano alcuni sistemi presenti sul
that
territorio a dover
it is
aiutare
certain
l'amministrazione
systems
regionale, in questo caso
existing in the
penso
territory
a
to
tutto ciò
to
che sta
help the
avvenendo
regional
anche nell'Unione
administration.
Europea e
And
sicuramente
if
lo
we
sta
think about
individuare delle
everything that's
soluzioni
happening
lungo
at
la
the level of the
linea
European level and
dell'amministrazione regionale,
the national
ha
state, we
lavorato e
know
sta
that we
lavorando per
need to
altri
have
altri
guidelines to
soggetti presenti
operate. The regional
oggi a
administration
questo tavolo
has been
su
working
tutte
to
le
many of
tematiche
the
legate
players
al
in attendance
PNRR,
today on
sulle
many of
tematiche
the themes
legate alla
connected with the recovery
città
plan and
intelligente
the
S4.
intelligent, smart
Facciamo una nuova
development
programmazione del
strategy.
Fondo
We are
Sociale
doing that
Europeo
with a
e
new
il FESR,
plan
insomma
of the
grandi
European
strumenti che
Social
l'Unione
Fund
Europea ci mette
and
a
the
disposizione.
tools
Lo
that
facciamo
the
credo
European
non
Union puts at
dal
our
punto
disposal.
zero e quindi
We,
lascerò subito la parola
I'll now give the floor
agli
to
intervenuti, lo facciamo
to
credo non
our
dal punto
speakers,
zero,
but we
ma
do that
come
not from zero. But
la maniera
I
migliore in cui l'amministrazione regionale,
I
la politica
still
sul
believe
territorio
that we're
può
not doing it in the
aiutare.
best
È un
possible way.
momento straordinario,
I think this is an
veramente
extraordinary moment. I think
straordinario
it
per
is an extraordinary
l'energicità e per
moment for the
questo salto di
dynamicity,
velocità che
for how
sicuramente
dynamic it is,
sotto
and
molti
for
aspetti
the
può
this
anche
leap
aver
forward in
dato
terms of
a
speed
grande
that
assolutamente
may have caught
soddisfazione
us off guard, but should not leave
ai
room
vuoti che la
to
politica invece deve
voids
essere
that
capace di colmare.
politics should be
Io
able to
passo la parola
to
al
fill.
co-direttore, così
I will now give the floor to the
segretario
co-chair,
ai lavori
Mr. Delay, who will
Qualifications
introduce our
e
speakers and
Biologico
see
e attraverso
how
il
we can
cardine
find the
sul
common
quale
thread
siamo
across the
presenti.
various fields where we are working on.
Grazie,
Thank you
poche
so
parole
much.
da aggiungere perché poi
I'll
abbiamo
just add a
sentito
couple of
già gli
words
interventi.
because I think
Pensiamo che dopo aver
it's
ascoltato le
only
diverse
fit to
sessioni di
listen
questo
to our
incontro
speakers. So
annuo
after
EBHT
attending the sessions of this meeting this year and the past years,
le
because I
volte
had the
sia di questi
privilege
incontri settembrini,
of
pensiamo che la
these
parola che mi viene in
meetings
testa
through the
oggi,
years, the first word that
perché
comes to my
parliamo
mind
è la parola chiave che poi
is the
ridurrò il
key word.
concetto,
Of
è la
course,
parola
I will mention at the end,
giunzioni.
which is
Giunzioni. Che vuol
junctions,
dire? Vuol dire
which
che
means
qui presente è un simbolo
the council,
istituzionale
regional
che
councillor here
spesso
is
viene
institutional
nella ricerca di
symbol
un'idea
of
operativa,
junctions
insomma, quindi
because
parte
she is the
dell'informazione
counselor of work, education,
cioè
research,
ha
university, and family.
tante competenze
So
e
she
naturalmente
has a lot of
professionale
competencies.
per mestiere, lei sa che tutte queste
She
cose
knows because of her job
anzi si
that
chiamano,
all
anzi
these
si
sectors
chiamerebbero
overlap
le
in real life,
sensibilità dei protagonisti
and
energia,
the
clima,
key players, the regional
infrastrutture,
authority, the national
ambiente,
government, and the players
sicurezza,
that
l'impersonalismo, la
are working on the field. For example, the Alessandro Volta Institute, represented by our friend here. First of all, you need to have those teams in your mind, and then you need also create those junctions, which is a different thing than doing than implementing things in a single sector. So you need to peep out of the window and see what you have around, so you can create connections and junctions. So this meeting has always put together research, innovation, university, and finance. And I think this is an exercise, a great exercise to find cooperation. And all the things that we've heard today have a double side, the specific field, but at the same time, the shared information, because when you're talking about digitization, requires also internal reorganization and training for the people. This is just an example of something that we do. So when you do something digital, sometimes you have to do even the paperwork. So you have a double type of work. And so we need a lot of patience and collaboration. I had a secretary in Rome. She was doing the routine breast test, and she came back from the test, mammography, and she came home and she was told by days. If you want an email address to receive it via email, you need 20 days. And she was wondering why the email needs more time than a letter. And the doctor told us that first they need to print the paper, then it should be analyzed, and then there are people who type the email physically. So it takes actually more to send an email than sending a letter. And she was very surprised by this example. So one of the most important things are policies and guidelines. It's one of the hardest things because you need different subjects to dialogue. And so the promoter of this initiative in 6-7 years knows well that it's difficult to put together so many people. And these are the aspects that will be dealt with the speakers from our panel. It's a very international panel, and we'll have views and different points of views to which we can aspire in terms of local territory, and from which we can obtain some indications. So the first speaker will be Antonello Pezzini, who is connected from Brussels. He is the representative of Confindustria Italia, the Italian Association of Industries, and at the European Economic and Social Committee. I'll give him the floor to hear his point of view on the private sector and the sector policies that we expect at the national, at the European level, and the coordination between them. Thank you. Thank you for the invitation to speak today. So first of all, I'd like to greet our friends of Trieste, Bravar, and Cappelli, to mention a couple of them, and they are working with a lot of commitment in your city. I congratulate on the commitment that Trieste has been developing but also for the Science and Innovation Forum promoted by Trieste, in which Europe invests a lot for the importance of the results, and it was promoted and sponsored by the International Institute for Human Rights and Cappelli, and this respect for human beings in the initiative. So after this introduction, I really wish that Trieste, that is
del campo scientifico e della ricerca scientifica e tecnologica, possa dare una mano all'Italia e all'Europa nei temi dell'energia e delle materie.
especially in on the issues of energy and materials. We all know what has happened in the past 2 years with the increase in the price of gas. We know that Europe is trying to find a solution, probably on the 30th of September in Brussels. We'll reach an agreement on the price cap on energy. I'm not saying anything secret because has been a regulation proposal by the Commission. So we expect that an agreement will be found to fix at about 180 euro per megawatt hour as the price cap for gas, but also for energy. This is going to impact all the renewable energies, so it will be valid for all types of energy. This fact of the increase in gas price makes us reflect on a few mistakes that Italy did if you compare it with Spain. And I say this in a very important meeting like this because I think that Trieste should launch a reflection and research, not to avoid the same mistakes in a second field, that is the field of the materials essentials essential for all the development that we need for the environmental development. In 2016, the European Commission produced two important documents, COM 17 and COM 18, in which it stressed the importance of diversifying the use of fuels, also adding alternative fuels. After the two COM documents from 2013, in 2014, the 94 directive number 94 of 2014 was issued. It allowed all the countries to foster the use of methane as a energy source, as it has a 25% less emissions. And so he wanted to favor the use of methane, and there was another suggestion to use LNG, thus overcoming. Spain overcame Italy and Germany in the use of LNG. And so, for example, in the naval field, they could not, Costa Cruise boats could not find the fuel they needed because we had not the regasifiers, and had to go to Barcelona to be filled with LNG. When Russia stopped the supply of gas, Spain didn't have much of an impact because it only accounted for 10% of their energy production. And Italy and Germany had an impact because we didn't want, I'm talking about starting from 2013, we haven't had a policy
Cioè, nella
to
storia,
install, to
a
build
posteriori si è levato degli
regasification
errori che
plants.
potevano
So
essere
we made a
evitati
few mistakes that
attraverso
could
una
have been
visione più
avoided through
intelligente, un foresight, una
a
visione del futuro. Vi cito questo
smarter
esempio,
foresight.
perché noi stiamo
I'm mentioning
rincorrendo, stiamo
Costa
andando verso
because
gli
we
stessi
are
errori quando
following the
affrontiamo il
same
tema di tutte le
mistakes.
nuove materie
We are
che
doing
ci
the same mistakes
servono
when we
per
deal
lo
with the
sviluppo, per
theme or
esempio,
all the
di
new
tutta la
materials
mobilità
that we
energetica.
need
Stiamo
for the
parlando
stimulus
delle
of the
macchine
energy
che con
mobility.
la
I'm
trazione
talking
energetica
about
dovranno
machines
sostituire
that
la
with energy
trazione del
traction will
gasolio
have
o di altre
to
forme di
replace
combustibili fossili. Ma
gas
noi sappiamo
oil
già che abbiamo
traction
già
engines and
elencato
other
30
fossil
materie
fuels.
prime
So
critiche che noi
we've got
sappiamo che sono
30 raw
essenziali per il
materials that are
futuro, ma
critical,
nelle
are
quali
essential
noi
for the
non
future,
abbiamo
but
una
in which we
specializzazione nell'estrazione.
haven't
Le
we
17
don't
materie
have
rare.
a
Quando poi
specialization
analizziamo il
in
TOM, è uscito
extraction.
il famoso 350
So
sulle
the
nuove strategie industriali, vediamo che ne
350
abbiamo
document with the industrial
137
strategy, we have
sostanze prodotti, dei
137
quali siamo
substances and
in
products
forte
in which
dipendenza dalla Cina o da
for which
altre
we depend
nazioni.
on China
Queste
for the
materie, che
supplies.
sono
These
prodotte da
materials
minerali,
that
possono
come
essere
from
prodotte
minerals
anche in Italia,
can
anche
also
in
produce in
Europa.
Italy and even
Però
in Europe. Or,
l'ubriacatura che
however,
noi abbiamo avuto con una
the
mondializzazione
the
basata tutto sul
globalization,
commercio, che
all
ha,
based
direi,
on trade, that I
creato
would
uno
say
stacco sul
created
manifatturiero in nazioni soprattutto come
a
l'Italia
gap
e la
in the
Germania,
manufacturing
sta
world in countries
portando a
like
trascurare la capacità di
Germany and
estrarre
Italy
minerali che
has
abbiamo anche noi in
shifted our
Italia
attention from
e in
the
Europa
ability to
e
extract the
trasformarli poi
minerals that
nei
we have in
prodotti che
Italy
noi
and
acquistiamo
Europe in
dalla Cina
general
o da
and
altre
transform
nazioni.
them into
E
the
lì,
products that
per
we
esempio,
currently
se noi
buy
vogliamo
from China and
battere le
other
macchine
countries. For
elettriche
example,
all'inizio,
if we
prima
need
di avere
electrical
l'idrogeno come
cars
fonte energetica,
before having a
dobbiamo
hydrogen
utilizzare il litio.
as a,
Noi abbiamo da noi
energy
una
source, we
batteria
need to
di
use
12
lithium, but we
kWh,
have
ha bisogno di
batteries
un
with
chilo di
12
litio
kilowatt
e il
per
litio ci
hour.
viene fornito
Hour
dalla
we
Cina.
need
Ma noi
lithium,
abbiamo
and
una
lithium comes
produzione di
from
litio in
China. But we
Italia
do
e
have
anche in
production
altre nazioni
of
europee,
lithium in
ma
Italy and
non
in other
abbiamo più la
European countries.
cultura e
But we no
l'impegno che
longer
avevamo un
have the
tempo prima del
culture and the
64 nelle
commitment
miniere
that we
per
had before
l'estrazione del litio.
1964
Bene,
in
quello è il
mines
messaggio
for the
che vorrei
extraction of
dare,
lithium. So the
cercando di
message that I would
concludere
like to
questo
pass
intervento in
on,
cui
trying to
sollecito
close my
ad avere la
intervention.
capacità di ricerca
So the
tecnologica e scientifica
ability
che ha dimostrato di
of
avere Trieste attraverso tutti i suoi organismi,
technological and
compreso il famoso
innovative
Ict, e anche il
development
BIC con
that
150
Trieste
imprese,
has through
60
all its
milioni di
facilities.
fatturato,
I'm
circa
talking about
400
the
dipendenti,
BIC, for
ma sul
example, in the
meraviglioso
incubator with a lot of
tessuto
companies,
produttivo
60
del
million of
territorio.
turnover and a
Il
lot of
messaggio che
employees.
io vorrei dare
So
appunto
the
a
message that I
Diego
would like to
Bravara, a
pass
Tullio
on
Capelli, a
to
tutti gli
Diego
amici che
Bravara and Tullio
lavorano
Capelli and
anche alla
all the
Regione
friends
Friuli,
who,
che ha
and
dimostrato
also the
grande
Friuli Venezia
impegno
Giulia
nella
region,
ricerca
who
scientifica
has
proiettata nel futuro,
demonstrated
è di
a lot of
affrontare
commitment
questo tema delle
on the
materie
scientific
critiche, delle
research,
materie
is the
rare,
message
delle
of the
materie
critical
indispensabili per lo
materials and
sviluppo
indispensable
tecnologico che noi
materials
dobbiamo
for the
perseguire nei
technological
prossimi anni,
development that we need to pursue in
cercando
the next
di
few years,
attenuare e dove
trying to
possibile eliminare
dampen
questa
and, if
dipendenza
possible,
da
to
altre
remove
nazioni che domani
this
potrebbero
dependency that we have
cambiare
on
dei
other
fatti della
nations,
storia,
that tomorrow
procurare
they
la
could
stessa
change the facts of
preoccupazione
history
che quanto
and
avvenuto
lead to the
tra
same
la Russia e
concerns
l'Ucraina ha
as
provocato
it
noi
happened
in Italia
with
e in
Ukraine and
Europa.
Russia
Cioè
for
affrontare
us
questo
in
tema.
Italy and Europe. So
L'ultima
we need to deal
osservazione.
with this
Per utilizzare le materie
theme.
che ci servono
Lastly,
occorre
to
riformulare
use
la
the
cultura
materials
della
that
ricerca
we
mineraria
need, we
che noi
need
abbiamo
to
perso in Italia.
re-establish the
Voi
culture
pensate che
of
oggi
mining,
tra le prime 10 università
because
minerarie del
today
mondo, 9 sono in Cina
9
e
out
una
of
in America.
10
Le 9
mining
università
universities are
minerarie della
located in
Cina fanno
China,
sì che la Cina
and
raddoppi la
so
sua
thanks
esportazione
to
di
that,
minerali
China
rari
has
e
doubled
necessari
the
per lo
export
sviluppo
of rare
tecnologico
minerals, which are
attraverso
necessary
il
for the
lavoro che
technological
fa in altri
development
paesi,
through the work
per
that they do
esempio
in
in
other
Asia,
countries,
per
for
esempio
example,
in
in Asia,
Africa,
in
dove
Africa,
estrae questi minerali
where
attraverso la
extracting those minerals through the technology that China has managed to develop. So China can transform those minerals and sell them to us. So we need to go back to the ability to procure the raw minerals, the raw materials that we need for our development. This is the message that I wanted to pass on to our friends in Trieste. So thank you and congratulations on the conference.
Grazie a lei per gli
Thank
spunti rispetto ai quali poi
for your
insieme
inputs.
al correlatore qui
And
presente
with the
cercheremo di trarre delle
co-chair,
conclusioni.
we
Sono
will try to
sicuramente
draw
aspetti
conclusions.
rispetto ai quali l'amministrazione regionale
They surely
sta
are
facendo la sua
aspects
parte. Io
on which the
continuo ad essere
regional
convinta
administration is
che anche
concentrating.
all'interno del
I am
PNRR su
still
questi
convinced,
aspetti di sviluppo
also
e
within
di
the recovery and resilience plan, that
creazione di una
these
linearità di
development
interventi
plans
ci siano
and
delle lacune.
the linearity of
ovviamente
operations ought to be taken
esperienza
more
al di
into
fuori di
consideration.
quella che è l'Unione Europea,
Now let's
vicinissima
go
a
outside of the
questo
European Union
territorio.
with an experience that is
I
nonetheless
would
quite close
like
to our territory.
to take the chair to Mr. or Mrs. Lanzo Gillet of EPFL Innovation Park in Switzerland. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the introduction. Can you see my slide? Okay, I try to manage. So good afternoon, everybody. My great pleasure to present EPF Innovation Park at your conference and share some experience and also the activity that we have engaged to help the startup to grow. EPF Innovation Park is just next to one of the two federal institutes of Switzerland near Lausanne. We are on the same campus of the universities. We are hosting around 300 companies at different sites in addition to the Lausanne. And there are about 3,000 entrepreneurs and scientists working there, and including innovators from 35 large corporates. So it's a quite vibrant working environment where academia, startups, and corporates working closely together. So here you have a list of corporates who that are hosted in our park, including multinationals everybody knows, like Nestle or Credit Switzerland, Credit Suisse, Siemens, etc. Now, with regard to the profile of our startups, well, we are a lot of projects are the spin-off from Swiss Federal Institute of Technology. We have quite big portion of startups in the life science and in medtech and biotech, lots in ICT as well, reflecting to the strengths of the universities. And more there are industrial clusters formed around the park with companies outside of the park. We have a cluster for digital trust and also cluster for Swiss nutrition and food. Also, we are building health cluster with our International Femtech Accelerator and the Future of Health grant programs. Over the years, the park has been existing for 30 years. It is actually a public setting. It's the park is managed by non-for-profit management company, which is in EPFL Innovation Park Foundations. So our job is to develop a variety of programs to support projects starting from the lab until they are the growth projects. So you can see here it's our areas of services from basic service hosting to the more added value of expert program, and for every stage of development of startups. I will give you more detail there. So we have been enjoying a quite good track record to bring a broad range of disruptive innovation into the market. Here you can have a overview of the startups that acquired by big players such as Apple, Intel, etc. And in 2021 only, we have had 3 IPO from 3 companies hosted and incubated in our park. Now, just to talk about what we do in the park, actually, we try to combine the government offer support together with the public funding to build different programs. I will start with the self-supported platform, such as the startup incubator, Laforge. We usually host 30 to 40 projects every year. They are granted with 6 months of incubation and can be extended to 12 months. And we do a lot of things like workshops and mentorship, etc. So these startups has been very successful, only 92% of survival rate. And in the last 5 years, they raised overall 245 million Swiss francs. We combine also the instrument of federal government that federal government is offering. For instance, we got the federal government's mandate to train scientists from the universities, those who have an idea to develop. We run a startup training program for the whole overall Western Switzerland, which means we train also PhD postdoc from other universities. So there are some incremental module here. What we are taking care of is the business concept training, which specifically target faculty members, researchers, etc. So it is inter-university, cross-generation entrepreneurship training, because we have young students, sometimes even professors. They want to develop a project. It's project-based training. So over the last 8 years, we have had over 2,000 alumni and developed 500 startup projects and more than 100 startups created. So this is the role that we play in the region that get us connected to the other universities. And all the funding of the training is done by the seasonal entrepreneurs. They are not professors, they are practitioners that we hire with the government's funding. Now, we also do startup coaching. Again, actually, it's an offer from Swiss government, which means that we have accredited, Swiss innovation agencies coach. All the startups, they are all eligible to apply for the coaching support. If they got, for instance, core coaching support, they will get a voucher of 50,000 Swiss francs, with which they can appoint professional coach to help them individually. So for different problems of the business, to go to market, fundraising, financial planning, etc. So these we have a group of coach from our foundation who are accredited by Swiss government. In parallel, through this training and coaching activities, we develop our own program, and with the support of large corporates, we have discovered that corporates has a high interest to work with startups. Sometimes they are looking for talents, and most of all, they are looking for technologies. But corporates has a wide business network and also very deep insight in industry knowledge. So we try to combine their strengths together with our network and know-how. We are building a thematic startup accelerator for some times now. Here are 2 examples of Tech for Trust. Is a startup accelerator we built with the money of local government together with the in-kind support from large corporates. And Tech for EVA is another startup accelerator for femtech. So it's a technology for women's health, again, with the financial support of insurance company and also the experts coming from the large corporates. It's so the philosophy of this type of corporate-backed accelerators are that we offer equity-free for startups. So it's all free for startups, and we are open to international startups to build network. And we try to leverage on the expertise in the business network of large corporates. And we very often we involve corporate expert as a mentor in the program, and we also rely on Switzerland's economy and science outpost to facilitate the market access to startups, which means that for these accelerators, we run international roadshow. The goal is to have the startups to meet their potential customer and also potential investors. So by offering this type of acceleration program, we do it remotely during the COVID. It's also for us to build a network and to, at the same time, to attract high potential startup coming to Switzerland, because we show there's a knowledge, there is a cluster, and there are ecosystems to support them. So it's a way of also for Switzerland to attract talents and attract innovation projects. For Tech for EVA, for instance, when we launched the core for all the international femtech startups, for our core for application, we got 125 applicants this year from 30 countries. And we selected 28 of them, put them in the early batch and also the growth batch. We apply two different methodology to help them to accelerate their growth. And we use quite a lot of mentor coming from corporates such as Merck, such as Syrian, those big multinationals offering solutions or drugs for women's health. So it's of their interest to send their executives to help us to provide in-kind help. And we also call for our startup founders to come for help. So it's a 9-month intensive acceleration. Again, it's equity-free for the femtech projects. So why we launched this type of projects? Of course, it's also because this is the area that is underdeveloped and also underinvested. And by doing so, we launched sort of a course. We want to enhance women's health worldwide. So here are the graphics show our 3 parallel program with the different goals and also a different methodology. As a result, Tech for EVA last year was quite successful. During 9 months for our 30 projects, they raised overall 60 million. Which means that means that the program is effective and investors are there and they are interested in this area. From our experience, to develop the startup ecosystem, we need, as I said, corporate, need talents, need help from the ecosystems. One way to build up this network is for us is to try to develop expert programs targeting at the same time startup founders and also executives from the large corporates. We created a program a couple of years ago called Tech for Growth. We are now running it in 4 verticals: in health, industrial, 4.0, in finance, and in energy. So the idea is again to bring the practitioner together to discuss what's the best way to work together, knowing the startup and corporates from different world, and they can bring different assets into the play. So And mostly it is the opportunity for these people to meet up and to build a network, at the same time to have some business exchange and transactions. So, for instance, for the Tech for Growth Health that we held last year, mostly online, we got 23 speakers to share their personal experience, how to work with the startups or with corporates. They are coming from Merck, Novartis, WFarm, Ferring, Medtronic, all big companies, plus quite a lot of sub-founders themselves come to share. So it's really executive experience sharing workshop that we would like to continue to do, and by doing so, build a strong network of key players in the place. In addition to the all the above mentioned program, we are also trying to train executives, those who were willing to be the board member of the startups, to learn the tricks of being a startup founder, a startup board member, which is very different from a large corporate board. And by doing so, we're also running a platform of matchmaking, finding experienced corporate executive as a board member for startups. So I will stop here. I'm very happy to answer your questions. So my conclusion is that the key success factor for startup development is a rich innovation ecosystem, which includes not only the funding organization, government support, but also large corporates, research institutes, etc. So the 6 key elements should closely work together to make it more effective. Also, our key learning is that a better collaboration between startup and corporate can accelerate innovation, because large corporates, they bring infrastructure, distribution channel, deep market understanding, investment capability, credibility to startups, and international reach. And they bring a vision of what the world is today. While from startup sides, they bring out-of-box ideas, cutting-edge technology, customer insight. They offer investment opportunity for corporate venture funds to invest. They offer talents, and they offer mostly a vision of what the world is tomorrow. So by joining force, it's our key success factor to bring the ecosystem and to develop our park activity beyond our reach of a regional reach, and to be a player, international player. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much for your speech. Now we have Leila Pock, CEO of Human and Technology Cluster Syria, Austria. Good evening. Passiamo da un parco dell'innovazione a un
We're moving from an innovation park to a sectoral park, which is precisely oriented, as the name itself says, towards all human-linked technologies.
Thank you for inviting me to Trieste to this wonderful event. Okay.
Sorry.
You have to come here. Sorry. Thank you for your invitation to Trieste to this great event. We are very happy to be here, and in the next 10 minutes I will give you some insight in our life science community, in our life science cluster. So, where can I go further?
Come può... you have this.
This one, okay. So first of all, I would like to give you some background information about our region, Styria, some key facts. So as you see, we are one of the 9 federal republics of Austria, with the capital of Graz. It's the 2nd largest city of Austria, with a population of over 300,000 inhabitants. We are very close to the southeastern European region and culturally and economically very closely connected to the Alps-Adriatic region. At least we feel like this. So we are focusing on 3 high technology areas: mobility, green technology, and health tech. And just to give you some impression about our infrastructure, we have 7 universities, 2 Universities of Applied Science with 60,000 students, 2 big non-academic research institutes, 25 centers of excellence, and we are actually a top location for R&D in Austria with almost 5% of average R&D rate. 7 of 10 Austrian companies with the highest R&D ratio are located here, like NXP, AMS, Siemens, Infineon, Rafael, Anton Par, and some other of them. So let's move to the Syrian life sciences. So, and to the cluster. So cluster is actually a bridge between research, industry, government, and education. We are organized as a public-private partnership organization with the shareholders from regional government, from the main industry partners, and currently we have 150 members. Most of them are representatives of companies. Among them, we have 53% of SMEs. At the moment, 18 startups. So we are always trying to integrate new startups in our community and research organizations and other stakeholders. Just to give you some impression how many jobs we are covering in the region and about the turnover and export data. So our regional partners are mostly coming from the industry with the main focus on medical technology, pharma and biotech, research and education, university, private research institutions, 4 very big competence centers, and we have to mention that we have the oldest and largest biobank in Europe. So we also have our healthcare providers and shareholders from the part of Smart Health. So probably you know what cluster is doing and what are our services. So our main task is actually to do community building, to connect the partners, to make contact and information brokering. So we are looking that we know everything what is happening in the life science community and to speed this transport of information and knowledge. We are also doing business development, so we try to generate and to initiate some strategic projects between research and between industry. And we are also doing this on cross-sectoral level. So we are trying to connect life science community with mobility or with energy. So one of our most important roles is actually to provide international visibility. So to take care that our companies connect to international markets, that we provide them some access to international networks. And we are organizing incoming and outgoing missions, fair and exhibition management. And we take care of qualifications. So we are organizing GXP workshops. That's our main focus, especially for the life science. It's necessary. And also roundtables, experts groups, and we are more and more focusing on providing access to key skilled workers. So we are focusing on our strengths. So Styria is we have actually supplier industry. We don't have so much big manufacturers. So in the field of medical technology, we have our strong knowledge and experience in the field of microelectronics and sensor technologies, manufacturing and materials technologies, software and IT, and biomarkers and some diagnostic systems. In the field of pharma and biotech, we have a strong know-how in pharmaceutical engineering, production processes, and plant design traditionally. more and more in the field of industrial biotechnology. At the last time, last few years, we have started focusing more and more on the field of health and sustainability because facing some challenges in some demographic changes, we had to take this focus, and more innovation are addressing this market. So some areas of strength more deeply, just to know where we have some special know-how, as I mentioned, industrial biotechnology, also development of and manufacturing of innovative medicines, metabolomics and biomarker research, biobanking. As I mentioned, we had the largest biobank in Europe, process development, process and product optimization, and as well as artificial intelligence, machine learning, and data analysis. So as you see, we cover quite a lot of topics that we mentioned in the last 2 days. So I think it's very similar. As you move around Europe, we have same topics, similar topics, and similar challenges. That's just a short overview of our partners. And I just wanted to show here that we're actually very good connected with other Syrian clusters. That's a mobility cluster, green tech cluster, wood. So with wood cluster, we don't have so much connections, but also with design cluster, because the development of medical devices is also connected to this topic. So we are also very integrated in the whole German-speaking area. So Germany, Austria, and DACH, we call it DACH, and Switzerland, and into European cluster collaboration network. So what are our strategic projects in the biotech? It's also reflecting our challenges and some global challenges. So the moment we are very active in the field of active and healthy aging. So we are actually facing the challenge that our society is getting older and older, and more innovation is addressing this market. There are emerging companies offering solutions for prevention, early detection, and as well as diagnostic and therapeutic, but also in the rehabilitation of patients. So actually, we tried to move, the focus from treatment of disease to prevention and to staying healthy for many years. So if you just imagine some data in Austria, we have we live in average 58 years healthy, and then we start getting diseases. So it's a very financial challenge also for the whole system. Compared to Sweden, they have already 70, so it's 12 years more. But they started implementing some measures and some awareness at 1970s, so a long time ago, in this direction. But in Styria, we are focusing on this topic, and as well, so some applications and some innovations on the field of digital health, but also in the field of nutraceutical supplements is a huge market. We have several companies that are fast-growing companies. As a market, just few numbers, at 30% of turnover in pharmacies are coming from the supplements. So it's a really big market. We are experimenting with novel food, with new proteins. So how can you make some synthetic proteins, new cultivated meat? So it's very new topic. We are developing new pharmaceutical ingredients, and we have a strong focus on the topic of ambient assisted living. And I was happy that I heard some inputs from Trieste in this direction, because it's one of our newest projects that we opened in June. We opened AL Centrum. So it's a centrum from ambient assisted living with a showroom, so where companies can really present their innovations, their products, with associated living lab. So living lab is something where you can really develop it by connecting it to the end user. So you have access to the end user and to the training personnel. So it's really a very interesting project, and we have very good resonance. We also tried to establish Styria as a pilot region for innovative diagnostics and therapeutic methods in sense of active and healthy aging. So we tried to increase awareness and to provide some access for new technologies. Precision medicine, it's a global trend, it's a huge trend, so I can say that most of our partners are in a kind targeting this topic and making some research and innovation in the field of precision medicine, especially on cell and gene therapy, regenerative medicine, and production of individualized medication. In connection to sustainability, we are trying to drive some smart and resource efficient production because we are focusing on process development and plant construction, and to analyze some current supply chains and make them crisis resistant. Digital health, digital transformation, also a global trend. So we are trying to introduce innovation in our healthcare system. It is not easy. It is really a hard job. We have many challenges of acceptance. So we are now trying to actually start something like co-creation. So co-creation process to include all shareholders in this process, because there are a lot of lobbies concerns about implementing all of these technologies into the healthcare system and of usage of data. One of our focus are also startups. So we have international, once a year, we organize international event, Health Tech Hub Styria, with our partner, Science Park Graz. So it's a big incubator, and the city of Graz and Technical University. It's international event for startups, and we have a scientific session, we have investor pitching, and we have corporate call. So as a cluster, our part is to organize this corporate call, and I would like also to invite you to participate in this this year or in the next years. And I'm very happy that I can say that the last year, one of the winner at the corporate call was Italian company. So it's also very nice. For us, it was very nice, a very nice result. And our next topic is human resources and qualifications. So we try to develop some programs to get more access to qualified specialists and key personnel. So I would like to present you all of our 140 members, but it's not possible. But I would like maybe to just show you some of our main research partners and research and instruments that are working between science and industry. So the heart of our life science community is Medical University of Graz, focusing a lot on cancer research, neurosciences, and metabolism and cardiovascular research. We have 3 preclinical research centers, 4 research institutes, 19 university clinics, and 38 departments. And what is most important is that actually we have, it's integrated in a medical science city. So there is a very close proximity to the clinics, to the university clinic. It's one of the biggest clinical areas in the Europe, so it's like a small city, and it's connected with a bridge to the campus, to the medical university, to the new campus, and to the accelerator, and to the incubator, so, and to the entrepreneurial center. And we all are very much profiting from this closeness. So we have very good cooperation culture and a very good exchange. I mentioned biobank, so I would like to mention that we are also collecting tissues since late 18th century, and we are the biggest biobank in Europe, and international note also not only for Austrian biobanks but also for European biobanks. And it's a huge potential for cancer research, for research on some rare diseases, and also for personalized medicine. Graz University of Technology, it's leading Austrian university in COMMATE cooperation program between science and industry. I will tell us a little bit more about this program afterwards. So the most startups also in the field of life science are coming from the technical university, because not from the medical university, because the most researchers want to also be physicians and not to drive a company. So it's actually our startups are mostly coming from the technical university. Well, I mentioned already COMMATE Centers of Excellence. It's actually a program of Austrian R&D Promotion Agency aiming on triggering research projects between industry and research. So it's actually, we have 42 competence centers in Austria, and 25 of them are actually in Styria or with Styrian participation. So it should maybe reflect how innovative the region is. And some of centers of excellence within HTS network is ACIP, Austrian Center of International Biotechnology, CBMed, Center for Biomarker Research and Medicine, Medical 3D Printing in Surgery, No Center, so leading European Research Center for Data-Driven Business and Artificial Intelligence, and very important research center for pharmaceutical engineering. So just to give you some impression, these research centers have something between 50 and 150 researchers, and many industry partners and projects that doing research on a very high level. And additional HTS partners are also center in polymer engineering and science and materials. So it's actually reflecting our strengths and our main competences. Here I just wanted to give you some information about competence centers, where do they, with the topics, but maybe I don't want to go deeply inside. So ACIP, Austrian Center of Industrial Biotechnology, is focusing on biocatalysis and chemical analysis, enzyme technology and protein engineering, microbial biotechnology, as well as in bioinformatics and simulations, and some others. CBMed is integrated in the medical university. It's a competence center for biomarker identification, validation, and translation. So it's actually the most important, let's say, node for personalized medicine in our region, connecting all the partners that are involved into this. And they also have a close working relationship with the Medical University of Graz, as well as Biobank. Research Center for Pharmaceutical Engineering is also one of the global leader in pharmaceutical engineering sciences. They have also very interesting pilot plants for process engineering and on a very high level in development of medicines. And No Center is a leading European research center for data-driven business and artificial intelligence. So actually, I would like to give you some more insights into the companies, but I just need to choose something for the 10 minutes. But I can just invite you to participate in our network, to come to visit us, to see how we are cooperating. And especially I would like to thank you for inviting us, and I'm looking forward for a good cooperation.
Thank you very much. Credo che dagli interventi che ci sono stati,
I think that, judging from the presentations we've listened to so far this afternoon, we had some inputs and some paths along which to act. I will now leave the floor to Michele Zennaro, Director of ICT Services for OGS Trieste. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. I am the director of Ict Services, the infrastructure of my research body, that is the National Institution for Oceanography, with seat in Trieste, and now in Sicily, in Finosa, and in Milazzo. Recently, my organism, my institution, by its history, has something you can always touch: the sea, oceans, earth sciences, earthquakes, polar exploration. Me myself, I was trained in information technology, so I try to digitalize everything. What I try to do is to find the junctions you were talking about before between a physical world and a digital one that enables us to improve and grow. Over the years, different infrastructures, e-infrastructures have been created, referring to 10 of them which are well functioning. We won't see them all, but we will concentrate on one of them because I needed to um, draw a path. The first infrastructure I would like to talk to you about is the National Oceanographic Data Center, NODC, which is the largest data bank with marine data in Italy, and it has now European and pan-European relevance. This data bank provides data at a global level and has become a very important infrastructure for us. Together with this, we also have EuroArgo infrastructure, where we have a fleet of floats, drifters, and tools that are navigating in the seas and the oceans continuously to recover data, looking for data, and transmitting data sets to our seat. Then we have Excel on a European carbon dioxide capture and storage lab infrastructure, then praise for advanced computer and the search for innovative solutions in Italy. And just like these ones, we also have many research infrastructures producing data and data sets. Recently, we have been working to release the data sets as open data delivery. You can see a screenshot from our website where you can see data coming from the last earthquakes or from Trieste Gulf or geodatic and data constantly being exchanged. This is why in the last years we've been worked on open science, that is to implement the fair data principles, data that are interoperable, open. Last year, with a working group, heterogeneous working group involving IC technicians, researchers, people working with in managing data, we completed an open asset policy approved in November 2021. We will be releasing short in our portal with all open publications on it. And these principles, these policies would be both for our part and for the citizen science part, that is the release of data, not only for research purposes, but also for the individual citizens. Among the new proposals, we also have a new bulletin, which is open, of course, of geophysics and oceanography. As other speakers before me were saying this morning, data in data sets are useless if they are left as they are. Over the years, we've had many experiences in calculation, advanced calculation, and modeling with different projects. And now we also have other projects within the National Recovery and Resilience Plan. Here you have other examples, for example, the Copernicus Marine Services, where OGS produces bio, geo, chemical, physical, and chemical models of seas based on present and past data and also modeling the future. This enables us to create what is now called the digital twin of the physical world. And here, once again, we have the junction we were talking about before, that is creating a virtual world that is parallel to the physical one, on which we can study and make advanced research. Another infrastructure is Science Lab. In this case, we explored virtualization principles, so we virtualized a lab and the management of projects. We've created a fully virtual lab environment with a physical room, of course, where PhDs and hosts and researchers can access and use proprietary tools or tools developed by OCS fully, that is developing a whole project from data to the foreseen outcome. And here we can see a growth in the demand of PhD theses and dissertations by using this type of infrastructure, which gave us many satisfactions over the years. By combining these different aspects of our paths, here we are at the NRRP project, Trition, Trieste Valley Innovation Hub, a project worth 20 million euro, which will end up in a private-public partnership and aims at creating 3 new technological infrastructures and lab on energy transition, so Energy HighTech, with the creation of innovative tools to store energy or to produce thermal or electric energy in a circular economy. Then life sciences, with studies on biochemical aspects, molecular aspects, and then artificial intelligence with the high CP part, calculation, high performance data analysis. This is a project we hope will be fruitful, both in pure research and in applied research terms, and also for industries. Another project, innovation projects that falls within the National Recovery and Resilience Plan, is about our research ship Laura Bassi, which was acquired in the year 2009 to substitute GS Explorer. It has already made over 13 campaign, Arctic and Antarctic. Well, it was substituted by Laura Bassi, that you can see on the slide, and is certified polar code, so it can navigate polar waters. We want to gain yet another certification, that is the digital ship certification, which would enable us to get real-time navigation data, but also scientific data from the equipment on board. This will permit to have a new type of research. Just like Trition should give us a research infrastructure on other fields, this is another junction between the physical and the digital world. We want to create a digital twin, also in this case, of the ship on site, virtually, but accessible from our premises, to carry on research projects and change research projects while the ship is navigating. So we can go outside of the Arctic Ocean, which is very innovative from the digital point of view. The last minute I have at my disposal, I would like to use it to say that beyond this digitalization policies and beyond this idea of opening up data and infrastructures and the technological transfer towards enterprises, the region, and the communities, a part of our policies ought to be oriented on safety and security, because the more these infrastructures are open, the more sensitive they become, the more immaterial they are, the more electronic they are, the more cyber attacks they risk. This is Google News from yesterday in the afternoon with the last news, and you can see there's much reason to worry. 10 minutes sharp. Thank you for your attention.
Eccomi. Grazie a lei.
Thank you.
Se la dottoressa Primiceri e il dottor Steindler lo
If
consentono, visto che
Sandra
siamo
Primicera
troppo
and
tardi,
Alberto
lascerei
Steindler
prima la
allow
parola ai
us,
nostri online,
would
così se hanno dei
leave the floor
problemi
first to our
tecnici,
online guests so that if they have any time constraints, they
we
can
have Rebecca
keep on.
Zerovnik, di Health Day Technološki Park di Ljubljana, Slovenia. Are you connected?
Yes, hello.
Yes,
Oh.
hello. Sorry for we are late.
No worries, it just surprised me.
Thank you very much.
Jump so quickly in.
Now,
Right.
you can start.
Okay, just a second. I will share my screen. Okay, I think it works. Great. So, hello everyone. Pardon for the technicalities. Before I was afraid that you're going to be very late and I will have to wait for several minutes, but now you quickly jumped. So I wasn't totally prepared, but here I am. So hi, my name is Rebecca Zerovnik and I come from the Technology Park of Ljubljana. I'm the head of the digital innovation, digital innovation hub for healthcare here. So the Technology Park of Ljubljana is the leading national player in the development of innovative and knowledge-based entrepreneurship in Slovenia. We are in an innovative technology community of more than 300 companies that bring together entrepreneurs, innovators, and researchers. We have also more than 25 years of experience in the project management, ranging from national to international projects, collaboration, and co-design of innovation ecosystems. We are playing an active role in clusters in the field of ICT, green technologies, health, smart, and creative. And since your topic today is focusing on healthcare and biotech, I will present more on this topic. I'm running the Digital Innovation Hub, and we started in 2014. We established the Health Day community of stakeholders together with the companies Messi, Better, and Ict to design a more innovation-friendly healthcare ecosystem here in Slovenia. We kicked off with an annual conference, firstly focusing mainly on e-health, but then expanded more on the focus to biotech and other technology topics. And hint, the next conference will be planned in February 2023. I'll send more details to the communities after we finalize with the dates. And in 2019, we established a Digital Innovation Hub to provide the SMEs with free skills and training lectures in the field of healthcare, such as MDR certification and clinical trials, business development, reimbursement models, pricing strategy, and quality management. GDPR, and patient data, so specialized topics. And last year, we took over the Health Tech Growth Acceleration Program for startups innovating in healthcare and biotech. The program is financed by the Slovene Enterprise Fund. And in our current focus is the development of a living lab system with the local healthcare institutions here in Slovenia, hopefully with the first pilots to be run in 2023. So I have here a short infographic that's unfortunately in Slovene, but I can just explain a little bit. The Living Lab initiative is a result of the Excel Interact project that we participate in, with the ambition of improving the co-creation and collaboration between the healthcare professionals and the SMEs. And I think a few words were said before by Ms. Leila Pock from the Styria cluster as well. So we took the best practices from Belgium, North Denmark, and Scotland to develop a similar project here in Slovenia. So our main focus right now, the idea behind this is to take the real clinical needs from the hospitals and the GPs and building consortium with SMEs and startups. So in this case, tech providers, helping them to find financing and improve and accelerate the testing and implementing new solutions in the real living environment. So this is the Living Lab concept. Okay, I mentioned already our conference, and yeah, through the year we have several other events on workshops, lectures, B2B meetings, and so on. We are also one of the finance EDIHs, so European Digital Innovation Funds, and we are regularly collaborating with the H Alliance and ET Health. So I just wanted to maybe give you a short presentation of 3 of our startups, because it's always good to showcase them. One is the Savi, it's transportable EKG for the use in general practices. And the second one is Fruker, is a digitized physiotherapy that can be accessed by home. And Quiba is a simple guide for antimicrobials that can be used by the doctors to find a more suitable antibiotic to prescribe it to the patient. So these are one of our latest startups in the Digital Innovation Hub. And this is it from my part.
And now in English, thank you very much, Mrs. Zerovnik. And now, but in English, Massimiliano Bancora, Head of Innovation Management della Next SPA di Como, che dovrebbe essere online. Buongiorno. Ecco, l'audio mi dicono. Ecco.
Thank you, and for the invitation, and good afternoon, everyone. I'm Max Bancora, Head of Innovation Management for Comonext. In the next 10 minutes, I will introduce you what we have achieved in our Innovation Hub in Lomazzo, a small village between Milan and Lake Como, probably more famous than Lomazzo itself. And I will talk about the new technology transfer process we have developed within the Innovation Hub with the help of 150 companies and startups, which are part of our ecosystem. And this model has been called the Next Innovation, which is a new model we developed within this Innovation Hub, which has been built on an historical industrial site where innovation was part of the process during the 19th century, when Mr. Somaini built one of the most advanced cotton mill in Italy, built on the side of a water flow and not on the side of a railway. So it was probably the first innovative move within this area. The cotton mill closed in the 70s, not before hosting more than 1,000 employees in a site which included houses, school, and facilities for workers. Comonex was founded in 2007 in the old cotton mill, so the cotton mill I was talking about, and was refurbished thanks to the local Chamber of Commerce and the help of Fondazione Cariplo. Now in this innovation hub, as mentioned, we have 150 companies and almost the same amount of workers there were before. So we have now 900 workers that we call knowledge workers. This is how the cotton mill used to be in the 19th century, and now the different approach in which you can see robots and 3D printer on 6 axis. So we have a new facility where, of course, you can build your own events and organize networking. And we, of course, build a lot of partnership with a lot of universities, association, and institution in Italy and abroad. So what we do in this innovation hub, we help SMEs to innovate. SMEs, they need innovation, and they come to us, and we have entrepreneurs that can find support whenever they need to bring innovation inside the processes or inside their product. And we do it with the next innovation. So with this technology transfers model, which comes to us. So whenever a company comes to us and asks for innovation, we look inside our community made of these 150 enterprise, and we choose the competence that best fits the area in which the company needs help. It could be one of these areas like new materials, data analytics, digital communication, manufacturing, for which we have mapped each single competence of enterprises and startups, part of our ecosystem. We engage them and we start working together as a team on the project, which normally is developed with the collaboration of 3 or 4 single companies managed by one of our innovation manager. We have worked so far with SMEs involved in almost any market, from services to manufacturing, from third sector organization to medical appliances, from tourism to fashion industries. We have several ways to bring innovation within companies. We can show them how innovation is spreading in our innovation hub with innovation tracking. So we bring entrepreneurs within the innovation hub, and we show them how startup and other entrepreneurs are working on innovation every day within the innovation hub. But also we can start a process to show how the world is innovating. So bringing the company management of this company within Comonex and listen to entrepreneurs and managers on their innovation and how they are innovate services and products to understand what can be done inside their companies. The second phase is when these companies start to understand that their world has changed, and we work on an assessment in which we evaluate what can be done to bring them ahead or in line with innovation available for their products or services. And the third and the last phase is when we work to bring these changes to life together with the companies of our ecosystem. So this is basically how we help these SMEs to innovate on the territory, and how we bring innovation within SMEs. Of course, we could also help innovation with the search of ways to finance this project. We have an office which is dedicated to look into ways to find innovation calls from institutions at the national, so in Italy, but also at European level. We have two labs. One is called Fabbrica Diffusa and is one of the first examples of how Industry 4.0 can be demonstrated with people entering a space where we have robots and automation with sensors, and we can explain how this is working literally on the field. And then we have a marketing lab in which we use neurosenses to study if innovation has the basis to be launched on the market, and not on the basis of feelings, but on the basis of stats and on the basis of analysis and data. We have also an incubation process, which starts from finding these companies, helping them to grow, and helping them to accelerate that business. One of the most successful startups that we had inside CommonX is the Orbit, which is very well known in Italy startup, because now is a unicorn, and now is helping Starlink to bring their satellites into space, and it's already a well-established startup. What's next within CommonX? Basically, we are trying to spread this model all over Italy when possible. So we are evaluating areas in which we can help regenerate these old spaces. And we have already 3 projects in line. So we have Ivrea, where we are working within the local Chamber of Commerce to bring this model within the Olivetti industrial spaces. We are working in Novara in the Agostini old spaces, and in Caserta with a startup incubator. So basically, we are bringing the model that I explained so far into this area to help grow the industrial environment with the model that I explained. We have other territories that are looking forward to work with us and to bring this model in other area, and to have the help of this model to grow within these other territories. So thank you very much. I don't know if you have any question. Thanks.
Now, Fabio Bianco, il capo dell'ufficio scientifico di Bio4Dream. Ah no, scusate, restituiamo esatto, perché mi confondo con gli online gli inglesi.
We've just talked about the opportunity for urban regeneration. I would now leave the floor to Sandra Primiceri, Vice President of COSELAC Trieste.
Good afternoon. I just needed some time to retrieve my presentation. So thank you for the invitation. This is a very important event because of the themes that are dealt with, and as well as for the prestigious speakers that have participated today. So the topics are very important and very topical. So I'm extremely satisfied of being here and of bringing one of the instruments that the regional government provides. one of the tools that the regional government provides to implement its industrial policies. The consortium is one of the 6 economic regional bodies that the regional government, through a set of tools, the counselor next to me can speak more in more detail about that, of course. So there are these bodies that the region uses to implement its industrial policies. So the consortium and the Giuliano consortium are considered like generators to support the development of existing companies, as well as to create new opportunities or new attractiveness conditions for new investments. Proof of that was seen in the past few years. For example, Trieste, it has become an attraction pole for international companies. We have just had the BAT, British American Tobacco, with a new facility, a new plant here. And there are several companies that have been investing in our territory, but we also saw an increase in the local interest in our territory. So just to give some data and figures, so the partners of the consortium is the authority for the port system of the East Adriatic Sea, then we have the municipality of Trieste, the municipality of Muggia, and San Dorligo della Valle d'Olina. And these interventions are quite specific and focus on specific sectors. Our consortium really hosts different types of enterprises. So the territory involves 800 hectares of land, and there are several municipalities, but this is an industrial area that is in the hinterland of the port, and it is located facing to the sea, and there is the presence of an international port like Trieste's, and this is, of course, a support for the logistic activities. The policies, the industrial policies, and the port policies, in this case, as much as in other cases, are not the same, but the industrial and port policies can both be applicable on the same territory as the one involved here. So the message that we would like to pass on through the connection between urban area and industrial area and port area, and even the free port, the offshore port, that is another tool that is available for enterprises, is to give a single vision, to create a single one-stop reference point in the creation of added value. So there is a reduction to one of a series of initiatives aimed at the industrial, social, and scientific well-being. So what are the services that the consortium offers to its partners? So just a couple of figures. We have about 900 companies established from micro to small enterprises and even large enterprises. So we have large multinational companies as well. There are about 100 companies hosted in the big center and in the rest of the territory that operate in the pharmaceutical and biomedical fields. they are established in the region as well as the national and international environment. There are about 10,000 employees in the companies hosted in the territory, and the surface involves 3 different municipalities. So what does the consortium do? I saw the slides of other industrial entities that provide services that are tailor-made. On the other hand, the consortium offers services that are cross-sector, so they should meet the needs of all the different sectors, manufacturing, pharmaceuticals, the third sector, logistics. The services that we offer are maintenance, implementation of the infrastructure. For example, making sure that there are roads and transport infrastructures that offer quality services. Thanks to the intervention of the Port Authority, we renovated all the railways connections that we had, and also in terms of energy management, we are trying to do everything to move all the transport to railways. So there is a lot of investment on railways. The money come from the recovery plan and from the region that make us renovate part of the railway network. And we have, among the services, we have broadband, the broadband internet. One of the services that I particularly appreciate, and this is cross-sector as well, and it is in line with what Mr. Pizzini told us before, is energy transition. So the consortium is playing a cross-sector role to launch an energy study of the territory to evaluate the implementation of certain strategies. We analyze what exists. We invent nothing new, but we exploit elements already present in the territory, which are already able to offer alternative solutions for energy production. I'm talking about the waste disposal plants and the reuse of environmental places that can provide new energy sources, and the search for new solutions. It's quite hard work, and that requires a lot of commitment and investment. Shortly, I hope that we will be able to launch a study that allows us, through data analysis, and find the best energy solutions for our territory to help companies to sustain the costs. Photovoltaic technology, including renewable sources, is possibly the easiest solution at the moment in terms of receiving funds and implementation. We'll see what we will be able to do along with the scientists. Among the goals of the consortium, there is the recovery of industrial plants that were closed. Instead of create something new, we point to the restoration of something that can be used. As a consortium, we received many requests for new plants, and as there's a lack of space, so we had to postpone them. Our site, unfortunately, has some environmental issues that we are tackling right now. But there is another aspect that I'd like to stress is the creation of a network, which is part of the regional policies. So one of the first things that we did was to create connections with the entities, the bodies that were already existing, especially with the scientific bodies. This is why we launched a cooperation with SISA, University of Trieste, and geographically we are in the same area. So we are neighbors with BIC, and we basically deal with the same things. So they are incubators for dreams, and they help them launch towards the industrial facilities that are available within reach. There is another slide that I wanted to show you, and these are all the tasks that we perform. So technological research, the design of knowledge, experimentation of knowledge, the acquisition of knowledge, the technological renewal and progress, and these elements were emphasized during this conference. So we are ready to support you in the framework of the creation of a network, or transformation of an idea, of a dream into a product that can be implemented successfully, and so as it can become a successful brand that we can support as a system, as a network. Thank you so much for your attention. And now I would ask our guests, Kruzic and Mozetic from the Regional Development Agency of Primorje and Gorski Kotar County in Croatia, and the Community Health Center of the Primorsko-Goranska County, and President of Kvarner Health Tourism Cluster, to join us here.
Thank you for the invitation, and thank you for the possibility to present the innovation ecosystem in our region. Do I have a presentation?
Yes, just a second, you will see it.
Yeah, I can see it. Okay. Okay, so I will try to be short due to the fact that we are sharing this time slot, so... Down. Okay. So, what I want to show you is the new industrial policy we are currently implementing in Croatia. We established a new mechanism called industrial transition, and we defined from Istra to Ragusa that those 5 sectors will be the key sectors for investing in the future 10 years. Due to the fact that this was our region, or Rijeka region, key sectors, the other counties in Adriatic part of Croatia, let's say, satisfied with this proposal, and now this is a key mechanism for innovation. I think that EU funding is more than 140 million euros for the companies in next 10 years. And what is important to say, we choose 5 sectors: blue growth, green economy, health, which is a key topic for today, smart industry. Especially we are interested in the smart industry field of smart city solutions or green city solutions. due to the fact that we are building also one of the biggest nautical marinas in Mediterranean right now. So currently we are trying to implement a lot of smart solution you will see later in this project. And of course, smart and green growth is also important for us, but Mr. Mozetic will later explain more about health. What is important to say that we established quite successful innovation ecosystem in the last 10 years from let's say technology readiness level 1 to 9. And what is important to say, in last period, we were more focused on IoT technologies, on big data technologies, and nowadays we are concentrating on artificial intelligence and deep techs. So you can see there are 3 big projects in our region. Innovation arena, it's more related on university R&D, and you can see here the accents on medical, ethical approach, social approach to artificial intelligence, language, which is quite important. Then we have established production park with focus on additive technologies, 3D prototyping, and smart city building blocks, which you will see later is really important for us. And then we have several innovation hubs which will concentrate on prototyping and acceleration of successful projects. It is important to say that since May, we established European Digital Innovation Hub in Rijeka University, EDIH Adria, which will focus on energy, health, and green technologies. Currently, we have the biggest national innovation cluster based in Rijeka. This is a national center of competence for smart city solution, and you can see here there are more than 30 projects funded by EU Regional Development Fund, 20 million euros, a lot of big names established here. So you can see Ericsson or Deutsche Telekom or some smaller companies from region, startup community, university involved. What is important to say, we are currently experimenting with one really important project, which is completely self-dependent island, energy-wise and communal utility-wise in archipelago of Mali Lošinj, and this is one of the rare projects of self-dependent islands in the Europe. What is important to say that we are also experimenting with energy communities. We want to establish the democratization of energy, so we see the future of energy challenges also by prosumers instead of consumers. So we want more energy communities in our region. We would like to, of course, collaborate with partners and companies from Friuli, Venezia, Giulia. And now Mr. Mozetic will tell you more about the healthy innovation system in our region. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Buongiorno, prima di tutto grazie per l'invito, ma io
Good
continuo in
morning.
lingua
First of all,
inglese.
thanks for inviting me. I will go on with English, which is the official language of today's panel.
Short time, I'd like to present you the strategy of our health cluster and how we like to become the region of health and well-being. So our cluster was founded in 2014, 8 years ago, and now we have 37 members with more than 9,500 employees, and we are working in so-called triple helix model. We have institutions from health and health industry, science and education, as well as the tourism part. From health, there are both private and public institutions, medical and dental, and we have the biggest Croatian pharmaceutical industry, which is situated in our region. The Jadran-Galenski laboratory is our member. From science and education, we have 2 faculties and the University of Rijeka as our partner. And from tourism part, we have 12 members from hotel chains, touristic agencies, and touristic boards. So our basic intention in the start was to establish the health tourism as economical growth part of our country and county. And in the last 3 years, between 2019 and 2022, we have 180,000 foreigner customers who are coming in our region for medical reasons, including COVID year. But what is our main goal? Our main goal of our cluster of health is to establish our region as a region of health and well-being, and in part of health we have 4 main goals, which are already mentioned with previous presenters. One is preventive, personalized, integrative medicine. The second one is lifestyle medicine. The third is rehabilitation, both physical and mental. And fourth, it's active and healthy aging. But if you want to be the region of quality of life and well-being, we have to catch all those 6 terms which are mentioned in the left part of the corner of the presentation. Of course, what we want to use, we want to use our natural healing resource, and from natural healing resource, which we already have it, produce something which will be a result of investigation research. So one of those products are Aquamaris. Aquamaris is a product of our pharmaceutical industry, which I mentioned previously. And they are world leader of nasal sterile decongester. They have 10% of world market, and they use seawater from our islands to produce that in their factories. So that's the way how we want to use natural healing resource, as well as the food, air, and the sea, to have the final product. On the other hand, all our strategies are based of regional strategy of development and a strategy of health industry, which started in our region in 2014, and we are now connected with the developing strategy of Republic of Croatia 2030. So our smart specialization is health industry, so we already running those categories which are mentioned there. And of course, from the health and quality of life, there are a combination of pharmaceutical industry, medical devices, health services, as well as the new methods in preventive medicine and diagnostics, and nutrition and healthy food. On our university, we already have 7 projects which are running on several departments and centers. Now we are start with the Center of Translation and Medical Research, so-called TransMedRI, RI as Rijeka, and we hope that next year we'll start the Institute for Health, Physical Activity and Cardiac Rehabilitation with all EU projects which can be connected here. And one of our main goals is to establish Health Innovation Hub, which full name will be Center for Development and Innovation in Health Industry and Health Tourism, which combine research, development, improvement of education, as well as networking of all stakeholders, not just in our cluster, but with our partners in the region or on the global level. As Vedran mentioned previously, the EDIC Adria, the project of digital transformation, which is one part of the health sector, is already started, and something which is our product, it's the certification of region as a region of health and well-being with 16 different protocols, which include quality of air, quality of food, quality of infrastructure, quality of education, quality of medical services, and other things which will be protocolized, certified and accredited. Dunque, alla fine, io voglio dire che noi siamo aperti per tutte parti della collaborazione con la nostra...
I would like to say that we are open to collaborations.
Our colleagues, not just regionally, but globally too, and we are open for all level of communication we want to have it. Grazie per l'attenzione.
Thank you for your attention.
Credo che negli interventi, ripeto, prima dei padroni di casa,
if I'm not wrong, we still have the president of Federmanager Italia, Daniele Damele, Friuli Venezia Giulia. For the first time, I apologize. I need to ask him to be as quick as possible because there's another panel after us. No problem. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for giving me the possibility to contribute. Federal Manager Friuli Venezia Giulia was present also yesterday with our National Councillor Fulvio Sproiabacca. He had the task of being more technical and more centered on technicalities in his speech. On my part, wish to be more generic, so to say, in order to target the topic. I'll try to be very quick because it is one word that is crucial for me: human being. Bringing back at the center human beings. The key word is innovation. In the past, from crisis, we come out investing in building to build a new social economic future. If we study this aspect of past crises, we can understand that this is how we managed to give acceleration to the crisis time. Also recently, with governments Conte II and then partially Draghi, we've envisaged an economic development based on building activities. We, in our studies we perform with the manager at international level, believe that for the future it is innovation based on the respect of human being that will usher a sort of rebirth, a sort of renaissance, so to say. We all know that the Renaissance in its first stage started with humanism. Innovation, high-tech, digital high-tech, and energy high-tech innovation is important, but on some conditions. Without but with some ifs. Yes, if human beings and work employment are at the center. Judging from the experiences I've listened to this morning and this afternoon, I believe this is the direction we are taking, which is good and comforting. I would like to give you an example, a sentence that really struck me while studying Pier Paolo Pasolini, when he said that we shouldn't be aiming at development that is the enhancement of just one dimension, but also and above all at the progress that is the well-being, the better being of the whole population, not only a dimension that changes, that develops, that grows, but above all, progress. Allow me to make one more quote, Alcide de Gasperi. We are all called to vote here in Italy next Sunday. If somebody still has doubts, please, please go to the polls and vote because it's really important for politics. Or to go back to its role, the Gasperi said, not look towards the next elections, but at least and above all at the next generations. This is fundamental, in my opinion. So the fundamental role of politics. Politics has left its role behind to the advantage of economy that looks at technological resources as if it were a lighthouse, but technological resources are irrelevant in, say, per se. And it's obvious that this is so. If you want to engage the new Renaissance in Italy, in the Western countries in the world, we need to put human beings in their first place. Human beings ought to be in the first place because they are the ones who should manage the future with politics. Politics should guide, should manage, should involve men and women dedicating themselves with passion to the management of the future based on values, ethics, morality, but above all, based on well-being. I think I've been diligent enough and I've stayed in the time within the time allotted. Thank you. Alberto Steindler, General Manager of Big Incubatori Friuli Venezia Giulia.
Thank you, Councillor. I start my speech with the support of two sponsorships that I just received from Antonello Pizzini, who mentioned BIC in his speech, and then Primiceri, who also mentioned as lighthouses in the industrial area. So that was really a pleasure. So BIC, for the first time, participates in this event as a promoter in this 7th year of BioTech. BioHighTech. So we are hosted by the municipal home of startups. So upstairs there are the headquarters of a series of startups selected by the municipality of Trieste, and hopefully they will find another home, which is going to be big. So we are already discussing the issue with a couple of those startups that have already reached a size that would allow them to access BIC. And then when the idea becomes much more structured, the spaces must become larger even. So you have all the entire industrial area, so which is even larger, of course. So that is a logical chain that follows the story of the startups. So I will go back in time. I'm talking about the early 80s, when the Romano Prodi, who was the president of EV back then, he visited the United States, and in the US he saw these centers, these incubators that helped companies to grow. So he came back to Italy and he said, let's do it the same in two areas that were considered depressed. One was Trieste, the other was Genoa. So Ict Incubatori was founded in 1986, and one thing that we share with CommonX, we had a common meal that was restored and converted into the incubator. And in February 1989, there was the inauguration of a physical site location where to host new companies. So in 1991, the BIC joined the European Business Network. So it was the most authoritative network of European technological incubators, and it is still a member with constant relations that create a series of opportunities that will be also shared with those in attendance today. In 2015, we became a certified incubator for innovative startups according to the law. And so let's see our location. We have a campus. It's a quite large area. It covers over 12,000 square meters. 8,000 are covered and 5,000 are available for companies. The rest is common areas, meeting rooms, the canteen, and other services. There are 219 companies that have been supported by BIC. Many of them became successful, became listed in the stock exchange, and had virtuous paths. So right now there are 49 companies, undertakings, with 370 employees. And so I like to mention that the incubator is basically full, because the spaces occupied amount to 98%. The only three areas are small labs. Just today, a company applied for the use of those labs, so everything is ongoing. So this is a graph that this chart represents the value of the aggregated value of production, which is equal to 70 million euros. So the name is still on incubator, but now there are companies with several stages of maturation. Of course, there are companies that have just been established, but while others have reached a significant turnover. We have a company in the sector of advanced telecommunications that exports to United States and other countries in the world. Then we have a company in the cosmetics, luxury cosmetics, that exports a lot. A third company is in the healthcare sector, produces laser products, and it exports globally. So last year there was a virtuous path that lasted for over 30 years in the state, as a state company. In 2009, we had a participation from Friulia, the regional investment body, and last year the incubator became a totally private company. And this is a picture from the presentation day, and it was totally taken over by BioValley, and that was the presentation day. And these are some data collected by the Polytechnics of Turin as an observatory incubator. So the privatization path is not. It was promoted by the European trends. It is a European trend and also an Italian trend. So we have Area Science Park, Friuli Innovazione, and the Pordenone Polo that have a private and public partnership. But there are others that are totally private. So looking at the figure, so it's no longer 2 incubators, it's 212 incubators. So out of these numbers, 63% is totally private companies. So if you want to further divide that number, there are two types of there are two different types of innovation hubs, and they are corporate, like large companies that grow a sort of garden of startups, hoping that some interesting ideas can appear for their businesses. Or there is other types of financial companies that are interested in participating in the capital of the enterprises that are hosted in the facility, hoping that they will give dividends and returns. Then we have the development of services. Starting from last year, and this is data taken from the same report from the Polytechnic of Turin. And then we have the results, the outcome of the surveys that we carried out among the companies hosted. So we started to create a network of professionals and companies, the majority of which came from this territory, and they help the big team that avail itself of professional to support the companies with these services. One of the things that is most requested is the digitization of companies. Today, we were not able to offer digitization services that were particularly sophisticated. So the first resolution that was approved by the big management was an important resolution with an investment of 2 million euro devoted to the restoration of the facilities, focusing in particular on digitization. So I won't go into detail speaking of this slide, of course, for time restrictions, but we had a networking project which was quite challenging, and some of the large players, I will just mention Cisco, that we involved in the project, they found quite a lot of difficulties in meeting our requirements that are, of course, projected towards the future. What do we have in addition to this? I think that we will see that at the next BioHighTech event in 1 year, but my idea is that the BIC grows further and it becomes the innovation hub that it aims to become in the future. Thank you. We have one last speaker. So, of course, I'll ask him to take a seat. Then we'll have the conclusions with Mr. Delay. Unfortunately, at 5 p.m. I'll have to be somewhere else. But if I can, I'll just highlight a few aspects. I'll be very brief. It was very useful, even for me, to listen, because I also think that politicians need to listen. Sometimes we often go to places and we tell about the things we do, but we often miss things that we can hear today. So some of the aspects that I heard today comfort us in terms of the actions that we implemented over the years, but also they poses a few issues that are the great themes, or the great issues that the government, the administration has to tackle in the sector of research. So starting from the fact the regional authority has not lost time in the investment in the research system, the Friuli Venezia Giulia region. I believe, just like it happened at the national level, the region has not always followed the guidelines in a very accurate way. It had to deal with fragmentation, territorial fragmentation, and I'm sorry to say that there have been adjustments, but that problem has not been solved totally yet. So we need to deal with a fragmentation that is still ongoing, and it still has consequences on our territory. When I'm when I say fragmentation, I'm not just talking about the scientific and research areas. I'm talking about territorial relations between the world of university, the world of research, basic research, applied research, and the ability to understand which the best path is. The regional authority, regional government has not spotted the best path yet, but we already identified the different areas of actions and the goals that we set ourselves within the recovery plan and also the European Social Fund. But I have to say that over the years, we've already started to work on some areas, starting from the idea that pharmaceuticals, the pharmaceutical area and everything that has to do with the pharmaceutical industry needs to be supported because it has an important economic impact, and it is an engine. It's a driving engine, that driving force that the region can invest in. We are working on the spaces for improvement in energy production. And one of the most important things that we are working on is the hydrogen valley, the cross-border hydrogen valley. So to put competence centers in relation. So because of the Cold War, our neighboring centers were not dialoguing, and from Slovenia to Croatia, we've started, and even with the previous area management, we had already started to discuss specific themes. Area worked on different projects, but I think that with the recovery plans, we will work on the theme of the materials, and we hope that we will be able to distribute to the entire regional territory the stimulus. And I think that there will be skills that needs to be promoted within the territory, but there are skills that also need to be applied outside the regional territory. I just wanted to say something. The framework that has appeared is a geopolitical framework. From the first to the last speech, the thing that comes out is the political ability, the vision, the political vision of pushing the economic sector is not up to the state, maybe not up to the EU, despite the agreement on the price cap expected on the 30th of September. We are facing a big change, an overturning of the world order that we were living in. My question is, the network of competition requires a critical mass, and we already realized from the first speeches that there are common aspects for all the experiences that were presented. We need the critical mass, interdisciplinarity, and on the other hand, at the same time, and this is something that I wonder myself, and I ask myself, there is a trend towards a specialization and an actual work to bring research to the market. And Friuli-Venezia Giulia is not Lombardy, of course. So there is another aspect that has emerged. The large multinational companies are the driving force in the collaboration between state and private sector. They are fundamental in the success of the experiences that were presented today. The Friuli-Venezia Giulia region certainly has invested a lot in research. I don't know if the region managed to invest as much in attracting large enterprises and the use of large enterprises as attraction poles for startups. There will be more details in the speech of Alex Berni later, because one of the first things that this region did is the creation of the development and enterprise and entrepreneurship agency. So the critical mass that we have and the companies that we have are not enough, and we need to attract much more, whether it is startups and companies that are perfectly developed and established within the economic fabric. I think that more work needs to be done here.
Then we have figures, we have aspects on which, such as hydrogen valley, such as the pharmaceutical companies, artificial intelligence, the theme of data sets on which we've been working for years. The other aspects that do emerge and pose questions as to the roads to follow beyond chains, networks, and the rest, which we must give for granted. The experiences we've listened to mention a growing multidisciplinarity. I'm thinking of the experience from Austria, but also Croatia, the capacity to bring together many different fields. What emerged, which is an aspect we neglected because we thought it was sufficient to transfer science to the market, what we've listened to was about more and more collaborations with the universities. Think of Switzerland, think of Croatia, think of Austria in their presentation. This is something on which this region has always had doubts. For years, we were convinced that our mistake was to do too many research projects in university and that we should go outside of the university. Has it always been the right path, or should we need to reconsider it in light of other junctions, of other links? Just think of the conflict, for example, between Area Science Park and the University of Trieste, Friuli Innovazione and the University of Udine, which decided to leave. Maybe there is something that this region hasn't understood over the years. Maybe we should consider the topic and reflect. One last thing, and after that I'll be off. I'm late and I stole too much time, is the growing presence of funds, multinational companies, large enterprises, funds. And after the crisis of the enterprises that are settled here, these are the aspects I wanted to mention, and I'm sure a colleague will say the same things better than me, but I think these topics deserve some serious reflection in a region such as Friuli Venezia Giulia. a reflection should come from politics, but also with the institutions and the bodies operating on the territory. Thank you. Thank you for letting me listen to your experiences. And now I leave the floor to Fabio Bianco, Chief Scientific Officer, Bio4Dreams, Milan, Italy, partner of the event and of BIC. Thank you, and sorry again.
Grazie mille. Buon pomeriggio a tutti. Io sono Fabio
Thank
Bianco,
you,
Direttore
and
Scientifico
good
di
afternoon,
Bio4Dreams,
everybody. I am the
incubatore
Chief
privato,
Scientific Director of Bio4Dreams, a private
attua
incubator,
startup innovative. Siamo certificati dal Ministero dello Sviluppo
dealing with
Economico.
innovative
Tutto per dare
startups.
spazio
We are
alle eccellenze
certified by
dell'evento.
the Ministry for
Prima
Economic
di
Affairs,
raccontarvi
Life
che cosa vuol dire
Sciences.
occuparsi di innovazione nelle
Before telling
startup,
you
volevo
what
condividere con
doing
voi due
innovation
immagini
is with
di
startups, I
come
just
noi
wanted to
vediamo
share two images.
l'innovazione nel mondo
This
delle
is how we
startup. La prima
see
immagine è
innovation,
questa.
we personally. The
Se
first is this
ipotizziamo che
one.
la grande nave è
If we think that
l'industria
this large
farmaceutica diagnostica
ship
dei dispositivi
is the
medici,
industry,
ecco che allora questa
pharmaceutical,
nave è
diagnostics,
solida, è grande,
medical
può
devices,
viaggiare
then
nel
the
mare
ship is
aperto,
solid, is large,
rappresentato
can navigate
dal
the open
supermercato,
sea, that is
e
represented by
tendenzialmente non
market,
cambia strada, ha i suoi prodotti,
and
le sue attività,
it
va tutto
won't
bene finché il mare è
change
aperto. Quando il
route.
mare comincia a diventare meno
When
profondo e
the
c'è il rischio di
sea
incagliarsi,
is
ecco
less
che
deep,
compaiono
then
queste
what
piccole
happens? Then we
iniziative,
have these small
piccole aziende che
initiatives,
spesso non vengono
small
viste
companies
dall'azienda grande, ma che
that
se
often
riescono a
are not
collegarsi
seen by the
all'azienda
larger
forte,
company, but
possono
if they manage
ridirezionarla
to
e evitare
link
che venga
with
incagliata.
the
Questo è
larger
un'immagine.
ship, they
La
can
seconda
change
immagine è
their
come la
routes
stessa
and avoid the
innovazione viene vista
perils
da
of
chi
the
la
sea.
fa, e cioè dalle startup,
This is the
che
second
sanno che
image,
devono
and
arrivare al mercato,
this
ma
shows
sanno anche che
innovation
per
from
arrivare
the
lì
point of view of the
ci sono un
startups. They
sacco di
know they should
cose
reach
che
the
devono
market,
fare
but
e
they
che
know
non
they have
sanno fare
obstacles,
perché
and there
loro
are a
magari
lot of things
possiedono
they
il
need to do, and they
contenuto
don't know how
scientifico, ma
to
non
do
tutto quello che sta
because
dietro,
they have
e devono
the
arrivare al
domain of the
mercato il più
scientific
velocemente
content, but
possibile,
they don't know
perché la
anything
sopravvivenza di una
about the
startup,
rest, and
prima
they need to
ancora
go to
dei
the market
soldi, è
as soon as
dettata dal
possible
tempo che
because
ci
the
mettono per
survival of
portare il risultato.
startups is given
E la situazione
by the
paradossale
time
è
to
che siamo in un
market.
momento
The
storico dove
paradox is that
l'industria ha dichiarato
this
di
period
voler comprare
is where the
l'innovazione perché
industry has
necessita di
stated
innovazione
they want
per
to buy
poter
innovation. They
aumentare
need
la propria
innovation
efficienza, per poter
to increase their efficiency,
diversificare i propri investimenti, per
to
poter ridurre i
diversify
costi dei
their
propri
own
imprese e
investments,
per
to
aumentare
reduce
l'efficacia. Ecco, quindi ci troviamo in una situazione
their
strana. Da
costs,
una parte
and to
in questo
increase
segmento del settore
efficacy.
ci
So
sono
it's a paradox.
l'attività
On the
del mondo
one
della
side,
ricerca,
we
l'accademico,
have
il
the
discovery,
activities
dall'altra
carried
c'è
out by the
l'industria,
research world, the
devono parlarsi,
academic
ma che
environment,
spesso
and then the
hanno
industry. They
aspettative
also
diverse,
dialogue with each
giustamente,
other, but
lavorano in
often
mondi
their
diversi
expectations
e
do not
hanno
meet.
anche
They often
modalità
work with different
operative
worlds,
diverse. Si
and they
parte
have
quindi da
operational
filosofie
methods
per
that
arrivare
are
poi
different.
all'applicabilità.
Some
Noi crediamo
is
che
more
le
concentrated
startup
on
il giusto
technicalities
punto
and
di
some on the
equilibrio in questo
practices. So we
ecosistema
think
e il
that
nostro compito è
startups
quello
can
di
be the
cercare di
striking
aiutare le
point,
startup
can
a
strike the balance
operare in questo
between these two
settore e
worlds.
avvicinarsi verso
And
l'industria.
we should help
Ci
startups to
troviamo in
work in
un
the sector
settore che
and to
la
get
Comunità
closer
Europea
to the industry.
definisce, queste
We
regioni
work in a
gialle,
sector that the European
moderate
community, the yellow
innovators, quei
region,
paesi dove c'è buona ricerca,
calls
ma
moderate
l'ecosistema di
innovators.
trasferimento
Countries where
tecnologico
you
è
have research, but
iperframmentato,
the
molto
ecosystem of the
autoreferenziale, con
technological
poca
transfer is
propensione
fragmented and
all'internazionalizzazione.
is not
Lì però
open
ci
to
sono i valori per poter
internationalization.
portare i
There,
progetti
still,
avanti.
we have
Noi
the values
abbiamo 12
we
sedi in
need for the
Italia,
projects. We
siamo
have 12
presenti
seats
nell'est
in Italy,
Europa,
4
lavoriamo
seats in Eastern Europe.
soprattutto, cito,
We work
a Milano, al Mind, Milano
in
Innovation District,
Milan,
dove abbiamo
Mind
delle
Innovation
gestioni
District,
velocissimi
where
20
we
anni, i laboratori condivisi per startup, ve ne
manage
parlerò fra un secondo per
shared
spiegare cosa
labs for
sono,
startups
e
for the next
soprattutto qui a
20
Trieste, dove siamo
years, and
presenti
above all here in
al
Trieste,
BIC e
where we
ovviamente alla
are
casa delle
settled in
startup, dove
BIC
siamo a
and
capofila della rete
here
d'impresa che
in the
gestisce
startup
il
house, where
ponte
we are
del
the leading
comune, questo
partner
posto
of
dove le startup
the
arrivano,
business network,
fanno i primi
which
passi per
manages
poi
this
trovare
place,
la
where
loro
startups
naturale
come, take their
localizzazione
first
laddove
steps
questo
to find
ecosistema va
their
a
natural
svilupparsi.
localization
Ma
where
non
the
solo Italia,
ecosystems
perché
can
guardiamo
develop.
all'est
But not
Europa,
only
dove ci
Italy,
sono
because we
tante
look
realtà che
towards the
credono
east of
fortemente
Europe,
a quelle
where there are
logiche di
many realities,
collaborazione di
many
cui parlavamo
situations
prima.
who fully believe in the logics of collaboration, and we were talking about before. Friuli Venezia Giulia, as Mr. Brava always says, is the only green region in the yellow environment, a strong innovator. Friuli Venezia Giulia ought to be the lighthouse, not only for national initiatives, but also for Eastern European ecosystems that want to come here and interact with us. From Poland to Hungary to Slovenia, we have our partners. We try to create synergies so that their companies can come here and discuss their projects, and we can have a structured community of players working together in a new geopolitical environment. To do so, our task is to build, produce devices that can help entrepreneurial projects to move from research to market. Through the standard phasing, scouting, incubation, innovation hubs, acceleration. Today, I would like to talk about three instruments. Grant Office, first of all, Grant Office. This is a network of local stakeholders, universities, research centers, incubators, positioned in countries. They work to build consortia, to make leverage on innovation, and to bring forward the innovation politics. Then we have Innovation Circle. The Innovation Circle is a roundtable which involves the industry, for example, Johnson & Johnson, Dedalus, MST, and other players who come to our roundtable to listen to the projects, to give support from an operational point of view, and to accelerate their progress. In the last year, we've held 5 Innovation Circle meetings. 45 projects have been analyzed, projects coming from the whole European area, and we want to carry these projects forward. Last but not least, shared labs, because nobody says that a startup that begins their activities need to have a room and buy all the technologies they need to grow. To make innovation for a life science startup is a transversal game. You need biology, chemistry, molecular biology. Startups need to access these facilities. So the model of shared labs we've implemented in Villa Guardia near Como in Italy with our friends in Como Next and in Milan at Mind is to give access to the labs when they need it for basic functions so that they can have at their back a network of companies that can support them for their projects. It is no secret, it is public, as you will probably know. No, we would like to devote our third floor here in Urban Center to the implementation of these structures to validate the prototypes these startups are going to do. These are instruments, tools that are very much needed by startups so that they can grow, improve their prototypes, present themselves, introduce themselves on the industrial world and to the investors with a more solid back, and so that they can have strategic alliances. In the last years, we've seen this happening in our ecosystems. You can see the small balls here on the slide, the startups. On the x-axis, you can see the number of years these companies have been incubated in our ecosystems. On the epsilon axis, you can see the augmented value of the enterprise and the last capital increase. This system was devised with all players, and it could bring an increase in the value of single initiatives. It's a critical mass that is fundamental so that our entrepreneurial ecosystem in life sciences can position itself at an international level. Thank you.
Grazie.
Thank you.
Mi date 5 minuti o no? Sì.
Do I still have 5 minutes? Thank you.
A parte la pazienza che abbiamo avuto tutti, perché gli interventi erano
We've been patient enough because we had many speakers and it was not easy to follow them all, but I was saying at the beginning the key word that comes to my mind. I'm saying this for Diego, who wasn't here. What the things you've done, the things you invited me to in the last years, plus the things we told each other today, make me think of the word junction. Junction is about chatting. We all create networks, we used to say. We need to reach an agreement. Yes, that's it. But junctions are not comfortable. Who works on junction against the current trends? And everybody knows this. I've been following 5 or 6 years of this event, and I've seen slowly and with effort some junctions form and grow. Some were weird at the beginning, but from one year to another, individuals come to my mind, enterprises that did not know each other before, who did alliances and did research projects. I saw things happening, and the promoter of this operation did a great job in junctions. He really celebrated junctions constantly, like priests, when religion is no longer in trend or sometimes can irritate, because everybody's affection to its own to their own institution, to their own sector, to their own discipline, subject matter. This gave us so many advantages in growing because companies grew also thanks to specialization. Certainly, today, above all in transitional time, the sum of is no longer enough. Just think of medicine. When you've got a disease, you go to 8 different specialists because your house doctor doesn't know what to say. And so you say, well, also my stomach ache, then go to a gastroenterologist, and the heart, then go to the cardiologist. Is there a doctor, a specialist doing summing up things? No, because junctions are difficult and the specializations can help. We need to have junctions, otherwise the path is not clear in uncertain times. I'm saying this because this event has grown in time. I've seen collaborations grow in time between people, between companies, 6 or 7 years of work just to do this. One more thing. The last panel told us so many things, and above all, that there are junction institutions in structural terms. Gillet said so, Lelia Pock, Switzerland, Austria, the Slovenian example, Como, ETS, Steindler, and then Cerny. Each player with their own history, but to bring companies close to training or training close to companies, you need a place, not only an agreement, not only a convention. Are we ready to use flexibility and to think of junction initiatives? We need to be smart in our strategies, also towards ourselves. Every university has their own mission, their own vision. The third mission is already written, but it's not the center. Somebody sacrifices, but this is not the current mentality. How can companies dialogue and interact with this system? Also, public institutions are complicated. I see here a long list. Real bigs have been done, but not only for startups. Between 1971 and 1980, we created new companies from scratches, which means that the social body was there. Well, today it's no longer like that. It depends. Because if I think of what Diego Brava has done, well, also small things were happening. You need some organization. You need to engage with institutions, with research institutions. We need to take them smartly and formally, not waging wars. We need an alliance where the two parties reach an agreement, and one of the two parties is willing to let go. We have 20,000 middle-sized enterprises in the industry and 160,000 small enterprises with less than 10 employees. So we don't have only startups. Can you see? The world is not made only of startups. All the innovation we need, the innovation 160,000 enterprises need, who are they going to talk? Do they have to go to universities? Judging from the list, you've chosen 5 or 6 real junction cases, as I said before: Switzerland, Austria, Slovenia, Como, ETS. You've developed here. BIC. You're letting grow. We need players coming from the entrepreneurial world with entrepreneurial culture. The Croatian example, of course. Then we have OGS, for example, which is new. Good. They've tried this treaty on alliance, something very interesting at sea, a junction between ICT and reality, open access towards public culture, towards the population. You can feel this push. It's interesting, but you need to have a strong player. It is not enough to have round tables. We need players. We need smart players, private players. The European Union recommends 51% from private funds and the rest from public funds. So this is what we need to take in consideration when talking with enterprises and companies. Just think out of the box. Just leave this mentality. The new companies you've founded and you can found, well, this is wonderful, but just keep in mind the 160,000 small enterprises plus the middle-sized ones. For example, middle-sized enterprises, you need to stimulate them all, because they work for you. They have 4 or 5 sub-suppliers, and they need to raise the bar. If you offer them a stimulus, then middle-sized enterprises can project a stimulus on the chain. You need some strategy on your side. I'm saying so because we need to be prepared for a period of awareness injunctions. We have 9 million students in Italy and 28 million people in Italy, over 3 times higher, with education and training problems. 3 million people doing nothing, NEET, and some 2.5 million without employment. We are 28 million people, and the National Recovery Plan talks about this, but how can we train and re-qualify 28 million people? Don't we want to open up another public education channel? Junctions are also in between jobs for the same job because the organization, the culture changed. For example, when you lose one job, you can find another. When you retire, you still want to work. The retired people ought to work for further 10 years, especially men, because otherwise they lose their head and they create problems to their wives. Some of them are huge, have a huge potential. Junctions are potentially infinite. We do not have only institutions, I hope, but the strange mixture, private, public, or something else. We should be making experiences. We should be going out of the sector and of the specific skills we have just to restructure it. And this is true not only for medicine, but also for ordinary jobs. The same happens in companies. When a company grows, you divide skills. After a while, you say, who's going to coordinate the different sectors? This is true for institutions and it's true for companies. It is a way of thinking. I'm saying so because I have seen and I've heard things and I've seen Diego's patience today. He's an entrepreneur who weaves relations. He's got an idea on his mind and he goes on silently like a tank wraps up in velvet. He goes on towards that direction. You need to do something, but you need to be smart. You can't only act with traditional schemes. Dameli, prima, for example, also managers who've retired. Is there someone who wants to work and who wants to knock on the door of companies? Then they need to speak the same language as companies do. They must be able to speak the same language, to be in line, to be tuned. Not only towards the young people, but also from existing companies. Out of 180,000 companies in Italy, will there be a share that is ready to do so? Open up your doors, let entrepreneurs in, also small ones. The country needs to grow because some more companies come. Yes, but it's not only this. It is what lies beneath, plus the young people, the young generation coming in. You've got no solutions we copy with a capital S. There are a lot of things that can come out of these junctions. We should bet on this. We've got a lot at our back. Just use it to note, concentrate on one and only theme, not only startups. We need to make them grow. What's the strategy? Let's open up the season of junctions. We will need policies. You've already taken some steps, so just move on and see what you can do. Be determined. Let's put things together.